There's a bird that's long been considered sort of a pal to people in the North Woods. Maybe you've been approached by a Canada jay interested in your lunch. But it turns out that what may seem like a friendly, trusting gesture may be, in fact, a threat to not only that bird, but other birds as well. Stick around. Welcome to Windows to the Wild. I'm Willem Lang. This may have happened to you. I know it's happened to me. You stop for a second beside the trail in the woods, and a Canada jay appears on a branch right nearby, looking lustfully at your lunch. You pick out an M&M or a peanut, hold it in your hand, and it flies down to grab it. Wonderful moment. You love being trusted like that.
View is a list that was created by a group of hikers out of Sandwich, New Hampshire, called the Over the Hill Hikers.
Huh.
And it was created as a supplement for the...
Hey, Will.
Nice.
That's all right. I couldn't
Beautiful. Who can resist that?
Fine, but then you put your hand right in front of it.
So he kept talking. You keep shooting.
People would much rather see the bird anyway.
Okay.
But it turns out that may not be quite as harmless as it seems. I'm in the woods of western Maine, not far from Rangeley, and I'm in the company of two lovely researchers, Jennifer Long and Marielle, I got this now, Postava d'Avignon.
Isn't this better than a classroom?
Yes, much better.
Jennifer Long teaches biology at the University of Maine. But in a way, she's also a student. Jennifer's been in the field for more than 25 years, studying bird ecology.
I didn't get interested in birds until college. And so I took an ornithology class in college. And we did like this. We did a thing where we set up mist nets outside. And as soon as I saw a bird in the hand, I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. Well, one of the things that I've studied for my master's and my PhD is bird migration. I got really interested in the physiology of bird migration. Okay. It's time. Because they're like superheroes, right? They can like fly nonstop from, here to South America and beyond. And so I became really fascinated in how they accomplish that. Ready?
Canada jays are different. They don't migrate. They live year-round in cold places, from Alaska to Canada and northern regions of the United States.
And along came the Canada. So that was Marielle's idea. She's the hiker.
I have been hiking these mountains for a really long time. I've regularly seen jays, and a lot of people post now on social media about their hiking and their experience. And there is a huge debate on social media about whether or not people should be feeding these jays.
That's a question Marielle hopes to answer. She's a behavioral and field ecologist. She's curious why animals do what they do.
I started hiking these mountains back in 2013. And I actually became introduced to the Appalachian Mountain Club, the AMC, so that's kind of how I really got started. I remember Carter Dome was one of the first peaks that I saw a Canada jay for the first time, and I was wondering who they were, and other people already knew about them, and we would sit on the top of a summit and eat our lunch and our snacks, because that's a common practice for hikers. So the Canada jays were hovering all around. Ow. Some people like to feed them, but then the rest of us are sitting there just like, no, that's our food. So it was definitely very clear that They interact with humans a lot.
Marielle and Jennifer worked together years ago. The Canada Jay brought them back together. Tell me about it. What's going on?
Well, as cute and cuddly and charismatic as these birds are, they're also voracious nest predators.
Oh,
So they eat the eggs of songbirds and sometimes even the nestlings. So we're concerned with how the feeding affects their behavior and how it might draw them into these popular recreational areas.
Yeah.
And how that might affect the local songbirds during the breeding season.
Canada Jays grab food wherever they can. When they're not on the lookout for hikers, they forage, flying from tree to tree in search of their next meal.
Oh, they'll eat anything. So they eat anything from like berries and insects, small mammals. I've heard that they'll eat amphibians and they'll eat carrion. So they'll eat large, animals that people have killed. They have to be opportunistic, right? Because they're staying here through the winter when there's no, and breeding in the winter when there's no food resources. They have to have a wide, cache of food to carry them through the winter.
Jennifer and Marielle spend the day in search of birds. They set up mist nets to safely trap passing jays. Electronic calls let any nearby birds know that something is at their doorstep. But all their effort goes unrewarded. The mist nets remain empty, calls unanswered.
But this is an area that's a little less used, a little less hiked by people, and the birds here are not interested in food and not at all aggressive, but harder to catch.
So we take you to the mountains in New Hampshire. 2 months earlier, we spent the day with Marielle, Jennifer, and one of her students.
And this is my student, David. He's doing a capstone project where he's looking at the habitat of the jays. We are at Mount Hale. We're hiking up to see if we can see a family of jays that we captured last year. We got the female, and we'd like to capture the jays and band them so we can track individuals over time and see the density of jays here at the top. To hear the bird community change as you're hiking up. As soon as we get around 3,000 feet, we start to pick up the blackpolls and the boreal chickadees, and so the bird community totally changes at that point.
And that's something that we're trying to capture with the acoustic recorders, is what the diversity of the bird community is up where the jays are. So just in case their altered behavior is somehow altering the diversity, hopefully we'll be able to tell the difference. We'll see. We still have to analyze that data.
Once at the summit, the team does what most hikers do.
So you gotta rattle your plastic bag with your trail mix. That's the call of the wild.
But we do bring extra trail mix so that we have enough to keep eating in case it takes a little while. And we also use the trail mix for our behavioral trials. So I'm the guinea pig, I'm the decoy, and I sit there eating trail mix. And then Jen will sit to the side with her voice recorder and makes notes into the voice recorder about what their behaviors are as they interact and react to my eating trail mix.
I'm able to quantify their behaviors in reaction to her eating. So I count how many times they swoop over her, how close they get to her, how long they spend within a certain radius of her. So we can compare different peaks in different areas to see how aggressive they are in going after the food. Here we go.
They're posing for you guys.
What's that feel like?
What's it feel like? Well, I'm not gonna lie, I can see the appeal because they are very cute. And they're surprisingly gentle too.
Cameras keep an eye on artificial nests and eggs. It's the best way to see how active Canada jays are as predators and how human interaction might affect their behavior.
Designed to look like a robin nest or like a Swainson's thrush nest. And we put those artificial nests in their territory, and then we monitor those.
Well, you put it in their territory, what do you expect?
So this is our artificial nest that we put out on the territory.
Turdus migratorius.
Right, yes, the American robin, so the blue speckled eggs. This one's got a little bit of pecking on the eggs.
Oh yeah, sure enough.
This one, we got them on camera, the jays taking the eggs out and ripping them up and, yeah,
Whoa.
going to town and pecking up these poor eggs, so.
Well, I'll never feed another jay.
We check to see if there's any visible nest damage. So that can either be just some little pecks on the eggs, or in the case of the other one I showed you, eggs entirely ripped out of the nest. So particularly if there's visible damage, we look back at the photos that we took with the camera to see who is the culprit.
I'm really interested in the ecology up here on the peaks. It's fascinating, especially here in New Hampshire. It's very different from Maine because there's almost they're really like islands up here. So there's islands of boreal species that you don't see in the surrounding landscape.
We're trying to get information from citizens. We're trying to get information from posts on social media because it's become very popular to go feed the birds, take photos.
Some willing hikers become research partners. A website invites visitors to report their interactions with Canada jays.
Because we wanted to get some data from the people that are out here all the time on where they're seeing jays, how many they're seeing, if they see them, are they being fed, and what types of food. So we started the Northeast Canada Jay Survey. We've been trying to spread the word, and a lot of people have, oh, it's a junco, sorry, I got excited. It was interesting because, the comments in the beginning before they knew what was happening were very amusing. But even after I posted, it caused a huge debate because some people were like, oh, that's so cool. Thanks for doing that. It's great to see what work you're doing. And then other people are just not fans. And I can't remember if it was that thread specifically, but some people are worried that whatever we find out is going to deter from their enjoyment of the Canada Jay experience.
Yeah.
So the funny part is
people don't want to be told what to do.
Yeah.
or they think that we have an agenda.
No agenda, just science.
We've been experimenting with the tree height app,
Okay.
especially with the clinometer. Some of the big takeaways are definitely just coming out into the field and getting long-term exposure with professional scientists and really understanding their process of getting data, and the best way to learn is to do it, and having them here has been really helpful. And that's why I'm here, is like to get experience and to really gain more of appreciation for nature and for the birds. It's just been great.
They're so cute. But you can kind of see they're scoping us out. One flew over that way. Like we're surrounded.
I feel like they definitely taunt, like they feel like they taunt, like I'm convinced they taunt us. Like I don't know if it's true, but I feel that they're definitely like not, they're like take delight in our struggling to find them. They show up right as we're leaving the mountain, or
That's true.
where they come in, we set up and then they're gone, and then as we're taking things down, they're like, what are you guys doing?
Despite the taunts, the team set up mist nets. If captured, the jays will be banded and blood samples taken. The data will help track the bird's health and movements from year to year.
We're going to do some playback and see if we can get them flying around, and then we'll just leave them up for maybe half an hour or so. I think they figure it out. If they don't get in right away, they figured out there's something going on. They're very smart birds.
It appears the Canada jays on Mount Hale are wise to the nets. Jennifer and Marielle have another option.
They are highly intelligent birds, so they do learn, which is another big reason for this. The group of birds that they're in, the corvids, are highly intelligent. So there's videos of crows learning how to...
We got another one.
We got a second one, Jen. I guess not. So catching them has been difficult for us up to now, and we're so excited to have two already today, because when we band them, we can identify individual birds. So each one gets a unique color combination. Because one thing that we've been interested in is trying to get an idea of their territory size up here.
You ready?
Did she get that? Is it Blaine or Brittany?
I'm gonna put her in a bag because we want to get it. We're trying to also get fecal samples from them,
And also feather samples. We might be able to do samples figuring out what they're eating, and that might be able to indicate whether the types of food they're getting are a lot of good stuff for birds or maybe not so great stuff.
Another thing that we're hoping to try to grab is more recordings of the northeast jays, because a lot of the recordings we're using from eBird are from the west coast or from like Colorado. Some of them are, we have some from New York, but there's nothing from specifically the White Mountains. So we wonder if the different regions might have differing calls. So hopefully, if we could get recordings of jays in this area, those might be more effective, freeing them over and attracting them. Oh, I just feel bad for it. I feel bad for the jays in their bag. Getting 2 jays in one mountain and seeing them up close again, it's been a while, and it has been a little rough not even seeing them for the first full week of this whole trip. So just be able to see them again has been really interesting and great.
That seemed to work to like toss a little bit of bread in there.
Most of the food that the jays grab is put away for the winter.
They have thousands of caches in these trees. So they actually have a large salivary gland that produces like this really sticky saliva. So they basically coat the food with the saliva, and then they'll stick it under the bark or under lichen. And so they're just caching. They have a large territory and like thousands of little food caches to carry them through the winter. And they have to remember where they all are.
Some really interesting papers came out recently on their caching behavior, how with climate change, they're worried about the caches going bad sooner because they're used to caching in winter when it's really cold, and it actually helps keep the food preserved. So
there's a correlation between the number of freeze-thaw events in the fall with their reproductive success in the winter. So their caches may be, thawing out and, rotten and not useful come time for breeding.
2 years spent in the field have produced results for the team. Canada jays, they say, are more aggressive in areas where they're fed, compared to places where there's less human interaction. It means they're more willing to approach humans and artificial nests.
It might be okay for the jays. So I think Marielle was talking about some of the studies that have been done with supplemental feeding. And actually it does show that it improves their survival and their reproduction. So they see that where they're getting supplemental food, they have more fat. They don't have to forage as much in the winter, presumably because they've cached all that food. They can also start breeding earlier and have more eggs in the nest. So it might be helping the jays, but we're interested in the community of birds up here and how it's impacting the community since they are nest predators.
hopefully we will have an answer to our question of, what effect they are having. It could be that they're having no effect on the songbird environment, which would be the best case scenario. But if there is a negative effect, we do want to know so that we can inform people. And luckily, there's a great community around here in the White Mountains and a lot of areas of New Hampshire of, making people more aware of conservation issues and best practices in the outdoors and keeping both the environment and everything else safe. So if we can come up with a solid message with some data behind it, that would be a great place to finish all of this.
Alrighty, east out.
We have come once again to that part of the show I like least, and that is what we have to say goodbye, but we do. I have to thank Jen and Marielle for all they've done for us in finding birds. You're fantastic. And
Thanks.
I just wish I could hang around with you longer and see more of them, but we have to say goodbye to now. And so thank you. And thank you for watching us. I'm Willem Lang, and I hope to see you again on Windows to the Wild. Support for the production of Windows to the Wild is provided by the Alice J. Reen Charitable Trust, Bailey Charitable Foundation, the Fuller Foundation, Rhodes Scholar, and viewers like you. Thank you.
Make a gift to the wild and support the Willem Lang Endowment Fund, established by a friend of New Hampshire PBS. To learn how you can keep environmental, nature, and outdoor programming possible for years to come, call our development team at 603-868-4467.